As adults, we have 200,000 hours parenting tapes that play and replay and replay and replay in our minds. And what we learn growing up in the environment that we grew up in shapes us and forms us, creates patterns. You've heard the phrase, well, you're just like your father or you're just like your mother. Uh, well, how could you not be? It's where you came from. But today we're going to talk about how those patterns, those unspoken lessons that play, how they shaped us, how they formed us. And here's the big idea today. You didn't create the pattern, okay? But you're the one who has to stop it. There are things in people's lives that generationally should stop. And it should be done with intention. Now, you and I may be the people that have to stop those crazy things that have been learned subtly. So let me give you some ideas. And this happened in my life because where I came from, I can tell you that there's a couple of things about my dad that stand out and they repeated over and over again to me. And I inherited his patterns. Oh my gosh. You know, I didn't want to, I didn't like it, but I have literally, and you've done this too, I've literally spoken words that he had said that I did not like. I've heard them come out of my own mouth. We've all done it. Well, hey, there it is. And so it's been up to me. One of the things that I'll tell you right on the top of my list was my father always disciplined me in anger. He would get mad and he would take his belt off his pants and he'd wear me out. In 2026, there's a lot of people listening to this going, oh, that's child abuse. But in 1961, it wasn't child abuse. Okay, it was discipline. Um, he'd take a switch off a tree and trim the little um, shoots and use it on my bare legs. Well, I'm gonna tell you that hurts. Creates welts. But he always disciplined me in anger. Why did he do that? Because that's what his father did. That's all he knew. That's absolutely all he knew. So intentionally, I did my very best most of the time to not blow up in a disciplined action towards my sons when they were growing up. And I always gave them a choice. So we're going to do a discipline, and they could take licks with borders, but they were licks, or they could do timeouts. I'm going to tell you, without exception, they took the licks every time. They hated timeout. It kind of spoke real loud, but I, I don't remember a time I might have yelled at them, but I never raised a hand on them in anger. I always made sure that I held that back. So that's one thing in my world that with intention changed. We inherit these patterns, and here's what they look like. Let me give you some thoughts. They are emotional avoidance. We avoid breaking these things down and changing them because it could make us emotional. It's going to create turmoil inside our souls. Yeah. Other patterns that we inherit: control. Oh my gosh, control. Have to be in control. Ever met anybody that's like that? Sure you have. Maybe you're like that. Um, I've met people that are just control freaks, and so have you. And we all have these inherited patterns. Other things that we inherit: guilt. Oh my gosh. Yeah, guilt. Yeah, and the guilt that I was always um, saddled with was the guilt of sin, because God was at the center of our world. Church was what our life revolved around because my dad was a pastor first. He did other things, but he was a pastor first. Other things that we inherit is silence. Now, I never really had much of this in my life. I never had my father or mother be silent. They lashed out. Okay. They, and my mother, oh my gosh, she had an anger streak in her that was ugly. It was ugly. Other things that we inherit was the fear of disappointing others. Yeah. So we kind of see those things in our life, and we inherited them. It's learned behavior. Now, let me ask you this question. If you've ever thought about it, do you have any idea why they stick? Why do these patterns stay? Why are they still a part of us as we've gotten older? Well, in some cases, they kept someone alive. Yeah. Some cases, they were modeled. They weren't chosen. They feel normal. It's like, I remember I raised pigs for show pigs. One of the things that I did growing up in 4-H and FFA, and I always raised Yorkshires, white pigs, but they were so dirty and so nasty. We'd take them to a stock show and give them a bath, clean them up, clip their hair, make them look pretty, put white baby powder on them. Oh, they look so beautiful. Take them to the show ring and show them, and then soon as you're done at the show ring, guess where they go back to? Yeah, the muckiest mud hole in their pen. That's the way we are. Yeah, we can't get comfortable with being free of all these patterns. Our comfort zone is in the mud hole. Our comfort zone is in these patterns that we have: the guilt, the silence, the fear of disappointment, the control, the emotional avoidance. Yeah. So let me ask you this question: where in your world are you repeating what you didn't want to repeat? What are you repeating that you didn't want to repeat? Yeah. Wow. Les Paul, you just asked a tough question. A lot of people don't want to answer this. But where am I repeating what I didn't want to repeat? Oh, man. My list is probably pretty long over a lifetime. Yeah, so is yours. Anger. So I said I didn't take out the anger in my sons, but I had anger. I've had anger as a part of me. And as a young man, I can remember putting my hand through a door one time. I was so angry. Yeah. I've torn things up because I was angry. Yeah. My dad was like that. Remember I said he always whipped me. He disciplined me in anger. That's because that's what his dad did. I want to tell you something that I've repeated so many things unconsciously. And that's kind of what happens. I told that story of a conscious decision, but there's a lot of other things that I brought along with me. Yeah. I'm going to tell you a story that some of you, um, I'm just going to tell you the story. And I got to tell you, if you've listened to any of my podcasts yet, you've already discovered that this is raw. I don't edit this, and I'm not going to edit this. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for my heart. And I'm trying to communicate to you that if you're going to live from your heart, this is kind of how you're going to have to do it out loud. I was probably about 6, and we lived in the parsonage right next door to the church. And my my mother had a lot of anger. Remember, if you've followed my story so far, my parents had 2 older children. I have a sister who is 20 years older than I am, and she's still living. I talked to her yesterday. And I have a brother who is 16 years older than I am. Don't have a relationship with him anymore. I have a younger brother who is, in fact, today, the 13th of January, when I recorded this, is his 60th birthday. And we have a great relationship. We've been close our whole lives. Um, but my mother had anger from just life. And I don't know the long list of why she was angry. There's more I will share as I go forward, but I did something as a little boy. I couldn't tell you what I did. You know, I was just being a boy. But she grabbed a hold of me and she shook me so hard. And I was right next to the wall in the bedroom. And my head popped back. And there was a weak spot in the wall, the sheetrock in the wall, and it made a hole. And my father stopped her from shaking me anymore. Think about the impact that planted in me. I've thought a lot about it. I never forgot it. I didn't hold it against her, never did. I I remember it, but I remember her anger. She was just angry. Her and my dad got married. She was 15 when they got married. Um, and I didn't know that until I was a young man and needed my birth certificate for something. You can kind of do the math. Um, I can tell you part of that pattern that she, ingrained in me, I carried forward. So let's talk about how we break these kinds of patterns. Well, being aware of it helps. It's the first step. Just being aware it exists and it's there. Stop beating yourself up. Have compassion on your own heart and soul. Have compassion for yourself. Being aware of it. Have compassion. Hey, you brought it along with you. Those 200,000 hours of parenting tapes they're playing. Make new choices. once you are aware. And you may say, well, Les Paul, it's too late. It's never too late. I don't care how old you are. I don't care. It's never too late to adopt a new choice. Start living from your own heart because there are things you have disliked about what comes out of your mouth because you're just like me. You heard your mom or your dad talking and you went, I can't believe I said that. Oh my God. Yeah, you're aware of it. Don't beat yourself up, but make a new choice. Consciously make a new choice and start living from your heart, not their heart. I guarantee, even if this could be the end of your life, I guarantee that when God calls you home, you will have had that peace that He talks about that passes all of the understanding that our human nature has. Because God gives us the peace that we're so desperately seeking. So break the patterns with intention. Live from your own heart. Let me say this. I know that my podcast probably spin up a lot of thought, and I am not here to be a professional podcaster. I'm here to tell my story raw. I mean, even the video. I look at the video and my hair is just everywhere. I record these when my heart says record them, and I don't really care what it looks like. I care that I communicate to you that you haven't lived from your heart and you can. Yeah, yeah, you can. Maybe you need help. Maybe you'd like to do deeper work. I can tell you that you can do this. I help people do it. In the show notes, there's a link to me and the tools that I use to help people start living from their own hearts. So click the link, follow the prompts, and I hope today that I said something that will help you break those generational patterns that shaped your life. And from today forward, you'll be different. You'll be happier. You'll have more peace. All right. I'll see you again on the next podcast. It'll be episode 6. I'm sorry, episode 5. Today was episode 4. 5 is when you wake up and you realize you've betrayed yourself in treatment. I'll see you again soon. God bless. Take care.